Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we had started the discussion over the parliament, okay? And basically these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series, like starting with the introduction, thereafter the organization of parliament, thereafter the composition of two houses, then the system of elections to the Lok Sabha, the duration of two houses, the membership of parliament, the presiding officers of parliament, the leaders in parliament, sessions of parliament, devices of parliamentary proceedings, legislative procedure in parliament, joint sitting of two houses, budget in parliament, multifunction role of parliament, ineffectiveness of parliamentary control, position of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, sovereignty of parliament. Okay, so these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion. Out of this, we have done with the introduction part. We have seen the organization of parliament, composition of two houses, and basically in the previous lecture, we have been discussing about the system of elections to the Lok Sabha. And the topics that we are completely left with is the duration of two houses, membership of parliament, presiding officers of parliament, leaders in parliament, sessions of parliament, devices of parliamentary proceedings, legislative procedure in parliament, joint sitting of two houses, budget in parliament, multifunction role of parliament, ineffectiveness of parliamentary control, position of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, and the sovereignty of parliament. Okay, so that is the picture that we have created so far altogether. So basically in this lecture, we will start from where we had left in the previous lecture. But before this, let me ask you one question. Like, we know the thing which we had discussed in the previous lecture is that Constitution ensures uniformity throughout country and within the states for elections to Lok Sabha. Constitution ensures uniformity throughout the country and within the states for elections to Lok Sabha. Okay. So now you are required to answer me what are the ways through which the Constitution could do it. For this, you have 40 seconds to think an answer. Then I'm going to give you the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. The time's up. So basically, if we talk about these ways, then there are two ways. First way is that allocation of seats to state on the basis of population will remain same throughout the country. First thing. Second, division of territorial constituencies within the state on basis of population will remain same. Okay. So these are the two ways through which the constitution ensures the uniformity throughout the country as well as within the states for the elections to the Lok Sabha. If we talk about the first provision, means this one, allocation of seats to the state on the basis of population will remain same throughout the country. So this having some exceptions, and it is having the exception to the states which population says less than 60 million, sorry, 6 million or 60 lakhs. Okay, so these are the things that we have covered in the previous lecture. Now let's start from where we had left. Okay, so this is the reservation of SCs and ST parts we had covered, and basically we had connected it with the 1909, then 1919, okay, then 1934. Okay, what happened here? We had connected it. Now let's move forward. After this, we can say, so the seats are reserved for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. They are elected by all the voters in the constituency without any separate electorate, which means that unlike the 1909, 1919, and 1934, Morley Minto reforms 1909, Montagu Chelmsford reforms 1919, and the Communal Award 1934. Unlike these, basically, when we talk about the Pune Pact, we know that there was a famous treaty which is known as the, or not treaty, but it's an agreement, Pune Pact, okay, in which we had provided the reservation for the depressed class or the SC/STs in the legislatures. All right. So basically, as per the Pune Pact, there are the reservation for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. But there is no provision that only the person from scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe could vote. It means that in this, we having the universal adult franchise. Okay. Unlike the separate electorate. Okay. A member of scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes is also not debarred from contesting a general non-reserved seat. It means that if the person belong to the scheduled caste and belong to the scheduled tribes, there is no provision that the person could only contest a election from the reserved seats only. The person could even file a conquest from the non-reserved or the general seat. The 84th Amendment Act of 2001 provided for refixing of reserved seats on the basis of population figures of the 1919 census as applied to the rationalization of general seats. Okay, like we know, the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes seats are reserved on the common basis, which is known as the basis of population. All right. Later, it was 87th Amendment Act 2003 that provided for the refixing of the reserved seats on the basis of 2001 census, not 1990. Because we know there were several acts, like if we talk about the 42nd Amendment Act 1976. So we know that this fix or froze the seats till 2000, and basically they took the census of 1971 as a base. Thereafter, we know there was an 84th Amendment Act 2001, which fixed the seats till when? In 2001, the seats were fixed till 2020, sorry, 2026. Okay, let me write down again. 2026. Okay, and basically they had took 1991 as a census, so 2001. Okay, let me getting confused in it. Okay, the previous one was right. 1991 as a census. Now you can see when I am got confused. Okay, so if you not revise this on the regular basis, you will surely get confused. Okay, then what happened? There was another important act which was filed in 85th 85th Amendment Act 2003, which shifted this 1991 on 2001 census. Okay, so as per the census of 2001, whatever the population of scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe will have, whatever population they will have, as per the population, the reservation would be granted. Got it? So that's the thing. After this, if we talk about the system of elections to the Lok Sabha, there is another thing which is known as the first past the post system. Okay, so the constitution has adopted the system of proportional representation in the case of Rajya Sabha. It has not preferred the same system in the case of Lok Sabha. Alright. So what is the meaning of first past the post system and what is the meaning of proportional representation? So basically, if we talk about it, so we have the two things here. First is first past post system. Okay. Second is proportional representation. Okay. So the first past the post system, if we talk about it, it is applicable in the cases of Lok Sabha elections. While we talk about the proportional representation, it is applicable in the cases of Rajya Sabha elections. Alright. So what is the meaning and what is the difference between these two? So basically, if we talk about the meaning of it, so first is the proportional representation. That is the first thing. Okay. So if we talk about it, then just write down in this system, seats in Rajya Sabha allocated on the basis of proportion to the votes the party has got. Okay. In the system, the seats in the Rajya Sabha allocated on the basis of proportion to the votes a party has got. All right. For example, there are two parties. Okay. Party A, Party B. So in the election, the Party A had got 30% votes, while the Party B had got 60% votes. Okay. So if we take the voting percentage, okay, and if we match it with the definition that we have just seen, so on the basis of proportion to the votes the party got. So if there is 30% seats the party had won, so there will be 30% seats party A will get. Similarly, if the 60% votes were polled for party B, 60% seats party B will get. All right. So it is known as the proportional representation. Okay. Thereafter, if we talk about another one, which was the first past the post system. So remember, in this system, the seat given to the party on the basis of majority of the votes received by the candidate from the constituency. Okay. So this is the system. Like in this system, the seat given to the party on the basis of majority of votes received by the candidates from the constituency. For example, suppose if there are one constituency A, then comes the constituency B. Okay. So from constituency A, the two candidates were contesting the elections, Mr. X and Mr. Y. For B, Mr. P, Mr. Q. All right. So after the elections, it was found Mr. X has got 60,000 votes, while Mr. Y only got 59,000 votes. Mr. P has got 10,000 votes, while Mr. Q has got 15,000 votes. Okay. So if you look at the voting percentage and then you compare it with the definition that I have just provided you, so basically the seats are given on the basis of majority of votes received by the candidate from the constituency. So if we talk about the seat of constituency A, this would be given to the Mr. X. Why? Because he has got 60,000 votes, while the opponent only got 59,000. Similarly, if we talk about the constituency B, so Mr. Q will get the seat because he has received more votes than Mr. P. All right. So basically, this is the system. if we talk about the first system, like proportional representation, then all the parties will get representation proportional. Okay, like all the parties will be represented in the Rajya Sabha on the basis of proportion of votes they receive. Proportional. All right, but if we talk about the first past post system, remember maybe or maybe not, all the parties will get representation. Why? Because here the seats are not allotted as per the proportional of votes. Basically, the seats are allotted as per the majority of votes. So maybe Mr. X and Mr. Q belong to the same party. So only their parties will be represented in the Lok Sabha. But if they belong to a different party, so might be the different parties will be represented in Lok Sabha. Okay. So this is the difference between the proportional representation and the first past and the post system. The first past or post system basically does not believe on the proportional representation. It's only believe on the majority of the votes, while the proportional representation does not believe on the majority of votes, but believe on the proportional representation. So instead, it has adopted the system of territorial representation. First past the post system for the elections of members to the Lok Sabha. Under the territorial representation, every member of the legislature represents the geographical area known as a constituency from where they belong. Like if we talk about Mr. X, he belongs to the constituency of A. Similarly, if we talk about Mr. Q, he belongs to the constituency of B. So basically, it representing the constituency, geographical area, not any particular party. From each constituency, only one representative is selected. All right. And such a constituency is a single member constituency. Okay. In this system, a candidate who secures majority of the votes declared elected, as I have told you. The simpler majority system of representation does not represent the whole electorate. Okay. Because there are chances that the person who got elected, maybe he belonged to the general caste, maybe he belonged to the other backward classes, maybe he belonged to the scheduled caste, maybe he belonged to the scheduled tribes, and maybe he belonged to any other minority section, okay, which is not covered in these areas. So only the single person belongs to the one constituency. So if the person belongs to any of these categories, then the other remaining categories will be unrepresented in the constituency. All right. So that's why this is said that in the first party poll system, the whole electorate is not represented, because the candidate who belongs, and you can say who wins from the constituency, maybe not belong to the all the caste. It is you can say quite. In other words, it does not secure due representation to the minorities and the small groups. Why? Because they are under the minorities, and the first past poll system belong to the majority section. All right. This system of proportional representation aims at removing the defects of the territorial representation. Why? Because as per the proportion of the population and the votes they have received, they have allotted with the seats. Under the system, all sections of the people get representation in the proportion to their number. Okay? Even the smallest section of the population get its due share of the representation in the legislature because it is based on the population ratio, not on voting received. All right. There are two kinds of proportional representations, namely the single transferable vote system and the list system. Okay. Remember, they both are the part of one thing which is known as the proportional representation. In India, the first kind is adopted for the election of the members to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative councils. We know that basically at the central level, we have the parliament. Okay, and the parliament having the two divisions. Lok Sabha House of People, Raj Sabha, House of States. But if we talk about the state level, then the state level there are two things. Some states are having the bicameral system. It means that they have the state legislatures as well as the state legislature assembly. And here state legislature councils. But in the unicameral system, there is only the state legislature assembly. Okay, so that's the thing. So basically, in the first kind, the members of the Raj Sabha are appointed and the state legislative councils are appointed. It means the states which having the bicameral system. So the members of the legislative councils are not elected on the direct election basis. They are having the indirect elections. Got it? And for electing the president and the vice president. So single transferable vote system is for the Rajya Sabha, legislative councils, presidential elections, vice president. Okay, so some members of the Constituent Assembly had advocated the system of proportional representation for the elections of the members of the Lok Sabha. The Constitution has not adopted the system due to the two main reasons. First, the difficulty for the voters to understand the system. which is complicated because the normal person could not understand this to that deep due to the low literacy skill in the country. Second, unsuitability to the parliamentary form of the government due to the tendency of system to multiply the political parties, leading to the stability of the government. Because if we talk about the majority party rule, it means single party will be there, so it is easy to pass the legislation. But if there will be a multiple political parties, what will happen? They having a different opinion, and thus the common governance will be in trouble. All right, so that's the thing. So students, basically in this lecture we have you can say finished till here. In the next lecture we will continue from here. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture, and what we say thank you.